As the clock ticks down, tension fills the air, and a man stands on the brink of life and death. The world holds its breath as he utters his final, chilling words. "I am the master of my fate." Who was this man, and what dark journey led him to this moment of defiance? What twisted paths did he walk, and what sinister legacy did he leave behind? Brace yourself as we unravel the harrowing story of Timothy McVeigh, the notorious serial killer whose final words continue to echo through history. Make sure to subscribe and stay with us till the end. You won't want to miss a single detail of this chilling tale. Timothy McVeigh's final words, "I am the master of my fate," were not just a declaration, but a haunting reminder of the chilling resolve that defined his life. These words, taken from the poem Invictus by William Ernest Henley, have echoed through history as a symbol of McVeigh's unrepentant nature. To truly understand the weight of these words, we must go back to the beginning, to the twisted path that led McVeigh to become one of the most infamous figures in American history. Born on April 23, 1968, in Lockport, New York, Timothy McVeigh's early life was marked by isolation and disillusionment. His parents' divorce when he was just 10 years old was a traumatic event that deeply affected him. Growing up largely solitary, McVeigh felt disconnected from the world around him, finding solace in video games and developing an early fascination with firearms. As he grew older, this interest took a darker turn, drawing him toward anti-government literature and survivalist ideologies. McVeigh's growing obsession with weapons and his mistrust of the government were further fueled by events like the 1992 Ruby Ridge standoff and the 1993 Waco siege. These incidents, where federal agents were involved in violent confrontations with civilians, convinced McVeigh that the government was an oppressive force. The seeds of his extreme beliefs were planted, and they would soon grow into something far more dangerous. After graduating from high school, McVeigh enlisted in the U.S. Army, where he excelled as a soldier. He quickly rose through the ranks and was awarded several commendations, including a Bronze Star. However, it was during his time in the military that McVeigh's radical beliefs began to solidify. His disillusionment with the U.S. government deepened, and the experience of the Gulf War, where he witnessed the devastation of war firsthand, further cemented his belief that the government was an enemy of the people. After leaving the military, McVeigh struggled to adjust to civilian life. Drifting from job to job, he found it difficult to find a sense of purpose. During this time, he immersed himself in the world of far-right militias and anti-government extremists, becoming convinced that a violent uprising was necessary to overthrow what he saw as a tyrannical government. His views were extreme, but they found a receptive audience among the fringes of society. The 1993 Waco siege was a tipping point for McVeigh. Outraged by the government's handling of the situation, which resulted in the deaths of 76 Branch Davidians, including women and children, McVeigh saw Waco as a symbol of government overreach and vowed to take revenge. This event solidified his resolve to carry out an attack that would strike at the heart of the government he despised. On April 19, 1995, Timothy McVeigh carried out one of the deadliest terrorist attacks in American history. He parked a rented Ryder truck loaded with explosives outside the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. The explosion that followed was catastrophic, reducing much of the building to rubble and killing 168 people, including 19 children. More than 600 others were injured in the blast, which left a deep scar on the nation's psyche. The Oklahoma City bombing shocked the world and thrust McVeigh into the public consciousness. The attack was the deadliest act of domestic terrorism in U.S. history at the time, and it sent shockwaves through the country. The scale of the destruction was almost unimaginable, and the loss of life was staggering. The bombing was a wake-up call, revealing the dangers posed by homegrown extremism. In the aftermath of the attack, a massive manhunt was launched to capture the perpetrators. McVeigh was arrested just 90 minutes after the bombing, not for the attack itself, but for driving without a license plate and carrying a concealed weapon. It was only later, during questioning, that investigators began to connect him to the bombing. Timothy McVeigh's trial began in April 1997 and was one of the most high-profile cases in American history. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and after a lengthy trial, he was found guilty on 11 counts of murder and conspiracy. On June 13, 1997, McVeigh was sentenced to death. Throughout the trial and the years leading up to his execution, McVeigh remained unrepentant. He never expressed remorse for the lives he had taken, instead justifying his actions as a necessary response to what he saw as government tyranny. McVeigh's lack of remorse and his cold, calculating demeanor only added to the horror of his crimes. He was a man who truly believed in the righteousness of his cause, no matter the cost in human lives. On June 11, 2001, Timothy McVeigh was executed by lethal injection at the Federal Correctional Complex in Terre Haute, Indiana. In the hours leading up to his death, McVeigh remained calm and composed, showing no signs of fear or regret. His final statement, a hand-copied version of the poem Invictus, was a defiant proclamation of his belief in his own self-determination. The poem ends with the lines, "I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." These words were a final declaration of McVeigh's unyielding belief in his own cause, even as he faced the ultimate consequence for his actions. McVeigh's final words were a chilling reminder of the mindset that had driven him to commit such a heinous act. He saw himself as a warrior, fighting against an oppressive government, and he went to his death believing in the righteousness of his cause. For those who witnessed his execution, McVeigh's final moments were a sobering reminder of the dangers of extremist ideology. The legacy of Timothy McVeigh and the Oklahoma City bombing continues to resonate today. The attack exposed the growing threat of domestic terrorism and the dangers posed by radicalized individuals who believe in violent means to achieve their goals. McVeigh's actions also highlighted the need for greater vigilance in identifying and countering extremist ideologies before they can lead to violence. In the years since the bombing, there has been a renewed focus on addressing the root causes of domestic extremism. Law enforcement agencies have increased their efforts to monitor and disrupt extremist groups, while policymakers have sought to address the social and economic factors that contribute to radicalization. However, the threat of domestic terrorism remains, and the lessons of the Oklahoma City bombing are as relevant today as they were in 1995. The story of Timothy McVeigh is a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked extremism. It serves as a reminder that even in a society that values freedom and individual rights, there are those who will twist those principles to justify acts of unspeakable violence. McVeigh's final words, "I am the master of my fate," were a stark declaration of his belief in his own cause, but they also serve as a warning of the destructive power of fanaticism. As we look back on the life and crimes of Timothy McVeigh, his final words continue to haunt us. They are a reminder of the lengths to which a person can go when consumed by hatred and driven by a twisted sense of purpose. McVeigh's actions left a permanent scar on the nation, and his legacy serves as a stark warning of the dangers of extremism. In the end, Timothy McVeigh saw himself as the master of his fate, but his fate was one of destruction and death. His final words, spoken in defiance, were not a victory cry, but a chilling echo of the darkness that had consumed him. As we reflect on his story, we are reminded of the importance of vigilance, compassion, and the need to address the underlying causes of extremism before they can lead to tragedy. The story of Timothy McVeigh is one that will continue to be told for generations, not just as a tale of crime, but as a lesson in the dangers of radicalization and the devastating consequences that can follow when hatred is allowed to flourish. As we close the chapter on Timothy McVeigh's harrowing tale, we are left with a chilling reminder of how far a twisted sense of purpose can drive a person. His final words, "I am the master of my fate," echo not as a statement of control, but as a stark warning of the darkness that can consume a soul. The legacy of his actions continues to resonate, a haunting testament to the destructive power of unchecked extremism. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and never underestimate the impact of fanaticism on the course of history. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.